All right, today we're diving into a disease with a history as tangled and complex as its symptoms. We're talking about an ancient bug that, even though we've had a cure for decades, is making a really startling comeback. We're talking about syphilis. So if you remember one thing from this, make it this nickname, the Great Imitator. This phrase, from the famous physician Sir William Osler, just nails it. It perfectly captures what makes this disease so tricky and so dangerous. It can look like almost anything else. And here's the villain of our story, Treponema pallidum. It's a spiral-shaped bacterium, a spirochete. And that unique corkscrew shape, it lets it literally drill its way into your tissues. Its ability to hide from your immune system is legendary. It can hang out for years, even decades, just causing damage silently from the inside. To really get a handle on this disease, you've got to think of it like a play in 4 acts. It's this slow, unfolding drama that starts with a single, often missed, moment of infection and can end in total devastation if you don't do anything about it. So, Act 1. This is the primary stage, and it kicks off about 3 weeks after someone's exposed. The bacteria start their invasion right here, but it's so quiet the person usually has no clue they're even infected. The very first sign is this little sore called a chancre. It pops up right where the bacteria got in. But here's the crazy part. It's usually firm, round, and completely painless. So it's super easy to ignore. And to make things even trickier, it'll heal all by itself in a few weeks, even if you don't get treatment. It tricks you into thinking everything's fine, while the disease is just getting started. Okay, let's move on to Act 2. A few weeks or months down the line, those bacteria have been busy. They've multiplied and spread through the whole body. Now the disease goes public, and the great imitator starts to really show off its range of tricks. The classic sign of this stage is a rash, but this isn't your typical itchy rash. In fact, it doesn't itch at all, and it often shows up in weird places, like the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. You might also get flu-like symptoms, fever, hair loss, a sore throat. And you have to understand, at this point, every single sore and lesion is absolutely teeming with bacteria and is highly, highly infectious. Then, after all that drama in Act 2, everything just stops. All the symptoms disappear. This is the latent or hidden stage. The disease goes completely silent. It can lie dormant for years, sometimes for the rest of a person's life, with 0 outward signs. But it's still there, just lurking. Now, for about a third of people who never get treated, a 4th and final act begins. This can happen anywhere from 3 to 30 years after that first infection. This is tertiary syphilis, and honestly, it's devastating. The bacteria can attack the heart, blood vessels, bones, and, maybe most tragically, the central nervous system, leading to dementia, blindness, paralysis, and even death. So how in the world does modern medicine unmask this intruder? I mean, with a disease that's this sneaky, a master of disguise that can hide for decades, just finding it is the most critical first step. The whole key is to catch it early, right? To prevent that terrible final act. And since you can't really trust the symptoms, diagnosis has to rely on looking for something else, your body's own immune response to the infection. The strategy is this really smart 2-step blood test. First, there's a general screening test. It looks for antibodies our bodies make because of the damage the infection is causing. But, other things can cause that kind of damage too. So if that first test comes back positive, they do a second, much more specific test. This one looks for antibodies that target the syphilis bacterium itself. It's like getting a positive ID. It's a pretty simple but really effective process. The first test basically flags any suspicious activity, and then the second one comes in and confirms the intruder's identity. That 2-step process is absolutely crucial for getting an accurate diagnosis. So, and this is so important, we can't just wait for symptoms to show up. Public health guidelines are really clear. They recommend routine screening for key groups at higher risk. This includes all pregnant people, which is vital for preventing it from being passed to newborns, sexually active men who have sex with men, and people living with HIV. Okay, now for some seriously good news. Despite its scary history, we have an incredibly effective weapon against this disease. The counterattack is simple, but it takes both a powerful cure and a whole lot of caution. Believe it or not, for early-stage syphilis, the cure is a single shot of penicillin. That's it. One injection can stop this disease dead in its tracks. Now, for the later stages, the treatment gets more intense, which just goes to show you why catching it early is everything.
Of course, the best counterattack is always prevention. Using condoms correctly and consistently really cuts down the risk, though it's not totally foolproof if a sore is outside the area a condom covers. Really, the best strategies combine our personal choices with strong public health systems that make sure routine screening and partner notification actually happen.
And this brings us to the big puzzle at the heart of the syphilis story today. We have a test, we have a cure, and yet, this ancient disease is not fading away. In fact, it's casting a long shadow right into our modern world. And you simply cannot talk about the history of syphilis in America without acknowledging the shadow of the Tuskegee study. For 40 years, researchers unethically withheld a known cure, penicillin, from hundreds of Black men just to see how the disease progressed. This was a horrific violation of trust that caused generational harm and created a deep-seated mistrust in the medical system that we still see affecting public health today. And this isn't just a history lesson. It is a global crisis happening right now. As of 2015, there were an estimated 45.4 million people around the world living with a syphilis infection. That's a staggering number for a disease we've known how to cure for over 75 years. See, after penicillin was discovered, the rates just plummeted for decades. But then, starting around the year 2000, that whole trend flipped. It's a mix of things: less public health funding for STI prevention, changes in sexual behavior, other social factors, but it's led to this steady and, in some places, dramatic rise in infections all over the world. And that leaves us with this final question, doesn't it? We have all the tools we need to beat this thing, and yet it's gaining ground. It really forces us to ask, what does the return of the great imitator tell us about the cracks in our public health systems, about our struggles with health education, and about the long, long shadows of history?